Welcome to the very last session in the course More Time Every Day, which is the graduation ceremony. I can't believe it's only been 4 weeks since we began this. I got to meet 25 new people in my life in the past 4 weeks and work with an amazing team of four. It's been a beautiful journey, and I hope you also had fun along the way. And today we're going to kick things off with a Q&A with a very special guest. This guest is special not just because of the amazing work he's done in his life. He's also special because he's my mentor and someone that I consider part of my family. And this is the one and only Rajesh Setty. He has founded half a dozen startups. He is the mentor for another half a dozen. And he's published over 18 books so far. And the best thing about him is he's always working on something new and exciting. I know for a fact that at the moment he's working on 10 different projects, ranging from building an online game to launching an influencer campaign for his startup, Audvisor. So without any further ado, please give a warm welcome to Rajesh Setty. Rajesh, hi and welcome. How are you feeling?
Namaskaram, everyone. I'm feeling very good, but you put me on an ethical dilemma at the start of the. You were not closing your eyes in the 30-second meditation, but I cannot tell because then it will expose that I was also not closing my eyes.
So. No, I was closing my eyes. Was I not?
See, now you see. It's a problem. You put me on a spot. Now I don't know what if I say it, then everybody knows that. How did he know? He's also not closing his eyes.
Exactly. But you said it. So now they know that both of us didn't do it.
Correct.
Great. Thanks so much for joining. And how was your day today?
Day was exciting or very exciting. Today was very exciting.
So my students are actually familiar with Audvisor because as a welcome gift, they all got an annual subscription to the product. So I'd love to talk about Audvisor for a few minutes. And for the benefit of those who might not know this, can you describe what Audvisor does in a few sentences?
So Audvisor is like Spotify for personal or business growth. Instead of songs, we'll have micro podcasts from world-class experts in 3 minutes or less, covering about 17 topics.
And I know you were the co-founder of Audvisor and you've been running it for the past, has it been 7 years since it started?
That's right.
Wow. Well, actually, I don't think I know the story myself. So when did you first get the idea? And do you remember that specific moment when you got the idea?
It was when I was consulting for Audible. My friend Don Cat started the company. And then I was consulting for a while, and then I observed that, people buy audiobooks. But if it is fiction, they will listen to it end to end because they want to know the end of the story. If it is non-fiction, they drop off chapter 4 or chapter 5. But they won't cancel the subscription. They'll continue the subscription with the next book. Again, 4 or 5 chapters, again, 4 or 5 chapters. I was thinking, why are these people doing this? Because they pay the money, but they don't listen. And then I found out that, I did some research after that. And people stop listening whenever the change becomes too much for them. Every non-fiction book wants people to change. But as and when the change escalates, people say, no, I don't want to change. I would rather change my book. So my theory was, why don't we have small micro podcasts? If they're skipping, let them skip a micro podcast because by the time they skip, the micro podcast is already over. So they might as well listen to it. And then that started the journey for Audvisor.
And currently you have 125 experts on the platform. So was it hard getting experts to create 3-minute segments? Because it's a new idea. I don't think I know any other startup that's doing this exact model of creating podcasts.
Some of them are very good, like Guy Kawasaki, Seth Godin, and all of them. They're always short form content. Some of them said, 3 minutes, I cannot do that. And then if you think about it, 3 minutes is a very long time because people said, okay, let me try it. And then they ran out of material because 3 minutes nonstop, if you talk, you can cover a lot of things. That's what we also discovered, that it's not a short time. It looks short, but it's not a short time. In a movie or something, advertisement is only 30 seconds and they say a lot of things in 30 seconds. So 6 times that is still a long time.
Yeah. I mean, well, I created a few micro podcasts for Audvisor recently myself, and
Yes,
it took a very long time to condense something into 3 minutes. But also
that
it
is
means
correct.
the insight per second is very high, unlike in a book or unlike in a really bad book where you could have compressed the entire book into one article and it didn't have to be an entire book. Um,
Sometimes it's just it can be condensed to a tweet, but they'll write a book about it. But that's a different story. So our goal is to wisdom density. Wisdom per minute has to be the highest for us. Not
mhm,
how many hours they use, but how much insight they get per minute of use.
exactly. Um, and it seems like, and you've mentioned this to me a few times as well, is that your hope is for someone who's listening to these micro podcasts, you want them to not just listen, but do something about what you're listening to, because these are all very action oriented 3 minute insights. Um,
That is
so what
100%
would,
right, Soundarya, because there is two modes of learning. One is to know more. That means you can keep consuming content. Other is to grow more, which means after you know it, you have to act on it because any transformation is happens only after an action, not a consumption of content. So we save a lot of time for them to get an actionable insight. But then what do they do with all the time saved? They can go to again go and watch Netflix or Prime or something. We hope that they don't do that. They take action on the learning that they had in those 3 minutes or less, so they can grow more.
right. And I think it's easier said than done though, because it's easy to say you should do something about what you're listening. But then I think the friction point is what exactly do you do? And I feel like you have a few ideas of what you could do when you listen to something that's helpful. So, do you have any tips on what someone can do when they listen to something insightful, something that is action oriented?
100%. See, basically, why is it difficult to do something that when you have got an insight, you should have a project that is worthy of doing something where you can apply the insight. How many projects can a person have? Maybe a dozen, but not more than that. Even a dozen people will think, what is this monkey doing? He's all over the place. But maybe two or three really good projects, they will be there. But then they run out of projects to implement the insight that they got. So what do they do? What can we do? So that is when you start contributing to your network. So in my case, I don't remember anybody's birthdays or their marriage anniversaries or anything. I only remember two things. What do the people care about? And what are their superpowers? Once you know it, you can see if it is not useful to me, for whom is it useful? For what project is it useful? So when you can do that, it's an incremental cost for me to share that insight is very, very low because its maximum is 3 minutes. And the incremental value for them is very, very high. So I look like a Santa Claus for them. What is this? Where is it all coming? How many books is he reading? But we have used our own app as a cheat code.
Um, I think you should give an example of some place where you did that, where you took an insight and helped someone else with their project, so people really get what you're trying to say there.
See, for example, one of my friend is called Jordan Harbinger. He runs a show called Jordan Harbinger. In our app, he gave an insight about how to follow up. So how to follow up means because usually people when they want to follow up, they say checking in on it. Have you looked at the document I sent? Same thing. After some time, second time follow up, people will start ignoring because they know that whatever they sent, the same thing. Okay, I'm ignoring now, and then after some time they will become blind to it. So Jordan says, if you want to truly follow up, every follow up should have something of value so that there is some study that you are attaching. So people don't know what you will get. There is always some nugget of wisdom. So this insight is not just useful for me, for any person who is having a startup, any person who is in sales, almost everybody is in sales, is useful. And if they don't know it, suddenly they get an aha moment. And then this is one of those things, it's implementing is also easy. Very next follow-up mail, they can make it some valuable. And they will see that the outcome becomes more positive than before. They'll be less ignored in their follow-ups. So that's one example where I've shared it with all my startup CEO students, my friends. Everybody thanks me for it.
Um, and just so I fully understand, what is the technique again to better follow
The
up with
technique
someone?
is, yeah, you suppose you have sent an email to someone and then you want to follow up. They are not heard from them. The standard model is to just send a follow-up note saying that, hey, I'm just checking in on you. Did you happen to look at my presentation? So the person already knows that what is in the follow-up email. So he won't even open it. He or she won't even open it. But if you follow up with some more insight based on what they need, what they're looking for, what is going on in their life, then they will open it because they don't know what is in the email. People cannot take a surprise. So if you write a good subject line with an insight, then they don't know whether you are following up or not, but you are following up, but you're also adding value to them. It's like a loaded follow-up.
Interesting.
And I've used it all day long, and it works like magic.
Well, one thing I remember is once you mentioned that when someone sent you a note that said, "Hi, I'm so sorry that I didn't do something," and you responded with, "I'm returning your apologies with love and support," or something on those lines. What exactly was that?
See, for me, anything I'm very big on curating input that will be stored in my memory. So basically, my thinking is what we have is our own computer, our own workspace on the head. I decide very quickly what I will process in it, what I will remember in it. So if somebody has made a mistake and then I had a chance to talk to them, after that I don't remember it. If they remind me again, now they are asking me to process it again. It's more work for them and more guilt trip for them. So usually, whenever somebody apologizes, I say, no apology needed, now or ever. People make mistakes. Your apologies are returned with love, respect, and gratitude. So next time they don't make an apology because it's waste of time processing it.
Yeah, if only everyone responded to an apology that way, I think the world would be a better place.
And also, it will give
Just
a smile on their face because they're not expecting it. So
yeah,
basically, I'm big on pattern interrupting. So basically, if otherwise people don't even, there's so many things they almost goes like a blur. So the more you can interrupt a pattern, the more attention you can get.
yep. Right. So for anyone listening, for all the students, if you go to Rajesh's profile on LinkedIn, there's a tag called Pattern Interrupter. I didn't even know that was a tag until I met him. But as I've gotten to know about him more and more, it makes a lot of sense. He interrupts patterns that we're all very used to in our daily lives, which hopefully you'll see in this talk as well. I want to shift gears to a topic that I think everyone likes to learn about, which is building lasting relationships. I know that you've managed to build a network of people who just absolutely love and admire you, as is evident from all the engagement that I've seen online. So
because I bribe
I
them
hope
very well, Soundarya. I give money
you bribe them
just so
very
that they
well.
say so that they say good things about. Just kidding. I don't have that much money to
Okay,
bribe
you do.
everyone.
Well, you do. You have money, so I would not be surprised if you do that. Just kidding. So I'd first like to ask, how many new people do you meet every year, and how do you keep track of that?
See, basically, you will expose me here because I know 1% of what you know in Notion. In that 1%, I'm trying to make the most out of it. But because I have memory efficiency is very important for me because I remember only two things. Who is the person? What do they care about? Who do they care about? And what is their superpower? So I
Mm,
remember it almost in my mind. So I make
mm,
about 700 connections in a year. So and then you can just if you know those three things, it's enough for me to do anything. They will never get a happy birthday and all those things because that's extra work for me. Because if I care for what they care about, that is a bigger gift than remembering their birthday and happy birthday and those kinds of things.
right.
When
So
it
you
comes to
said
lasting relationships, yeah, 700 connections I make. That's all.
um, yeah. So I'm curious. So you remember what they care about and what their superpower is, and
That's right. Because
but
if you don't remember it, they will remind me the very next time they call. I'm a good listener. In this case, I'm talking a lot. But if you're talking one on one, I just listen. I like to listen to people because the more you listen, if you don't interrupt them in that case, they'll finally talk about what they care about. Because How much will they talk about politics and gun violence and all those things? After some time, they have to start talking. What they care about.
Right. But I think, knowing that is one thing, just knowing what someone cares about and what their superpower is. But then it comes to how do you use that knowledge to help them? And I'm curious how you specifically use that knowledge of what they care about.
The very simple thing is everybody has a path that they have chosen. They're going somewhere. And everybody lacks capacity, some sort of a capacity to get to where they want to get. Otherwise, they would have already been there, isn't it? So my goal is, what is the capacity that may be missing with this person? Maybe a knowledge, it may be a connection, it may be something that the better way of doing things, some perspective that they're missing. So my goal is for them to reach wherever they are going. What can I give them, which is easy for me to do, valuable for them? That's all I will be thinking about.
And can you give an example of someone that you helped, which was easy for you, valuable for them?
Like, for example, there is somebody who is just coming up with a product. And then what are they looking for? They're looking for visibility. I know a lot of podcasters. What are they looking for? They're looking for great guests. Then I think I coined a phrase called hunger alignment. I'm always thinking, what is this person hungry for and what is the other person hungry for? If I do the exact match, both of them will say, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I can give a really brilliant guest to the podcaster, and I can give them visibility to the founder who is just releasing the product. Is that a good example?
That's a great example. Yeah. I mean, really,
how am I doing in terms of scoring? Am I scoring well so far? The test?
Yes, you're scoring well.
Okay, good.
Because what I'm hearing is you have this just graph of connections in your life of, at this point, thousands of people. And because you know what each of them care about, what they're really good at, you can start connecting them to each other and they connect them to each other. Like, it just keeps going from there. It's a radiating effect at that point.
Correct. Because most of the people, when people go and network, they're thinking, what are they thinking? Because people say hustle and get things done. What does that mean? People say, go find out what you can get from them and do it. I'm not in a hurry to get anything from anyone. I'm always looking for how do I hustle to give something. So when that happens, that's already a pattern interrupter. So basically, because I'm not asking, sometimes they say, "What do you need anything?" I'll say, "No, well, I don't have enough projects to get all the help that I'm offered." So that already thinks that okay, what do I do? How do I do it? I use that karma account balance to, if they insist that I have to get back something, I'll use it to give something to somebody else. I use that karma balance to make them give something to somebody else who is in need. So I keep growing the karma account balance. It's like a game for me.
But I think just to hone in on that one point of, you were the one who mentioned that, the world is made up of 85% takers, 10% matchers, and 5% givers.
It's from my friend, Professor Adam Grant, who explained it in his book, Give and Take. So basically, givers are only 5%. They have enough to give. They don't look for anything back. 15% are takers. You cannot get anything from them. You can be rest assured that they will take something from you. 80% are matchers. That means they will give, but they will want something to be given back. But they want to be treated like a giver. So as long as you know it, so then see, anything loses power once you are aware of it. So I don't judge people. Taker, giver, matches. Who am I? I'm not God. So I'm always knowing that information. I use it to help them. So basically, if I need something from a matcher, I'm never going to ask them because that's not going to work. I'm always thinking, what can I give back so that they satisfy their need to be matched. So without any judgment, because that is the way they are operating. So we just have to respect the way they operate and work accordingly.
Absolutely. Well, since we have 8 more minutes, I had one more question on building relationships, which is, is it, life is really a series of conversations. Either you're talking to yourself or you're talking to someone else at any point. And I feel like if you can improve the way you converse with someone else, that can improve just your life so much more. And
Correct.
since you talk to a lot of people, uh, are there certain things that you always keep in mind when you walk into a meeting with someone?
First of all, it start with this because their life is all about conversations and also about the perspectives that you hold. Because perspective is how with what vantage point you look at life. How do you look at life itself? So one perspective I have is I pre-like people. So as soon as I came in, I already know some names. I said I'm going to like all of them, but I'm not expecting all of them to like me back. That is too much of a greed. So it's optional for them. But whatever said and done, Soundarya, they'll not be able to stop me from liking them, isn't it? Because it's my choice to like them. But once you like them, pre-like replaces prejudice because either prejudice exists or pre-like exists. And when there is no prejudice, everything is upside for me because one of my friends always told me, a tourist will always find what he or she is looking for. If I'm pre-like them, I like them already. I look for good things. When I look for good things happens, what happens? I'll see good things. There may be
Mm.
negative things. Even I have negative things. I'm horrible in organization. So, but that doesn't matter because I'm only looking for their superpowers and what are they good at. And my mentor Susan Scott, she wrote a book called Fierce Conversations, and that book changed my life. And the book is there is nothing fierce about it because nothing in my life is fierce. The whole book can be summarized in 2 sentences. Can I do it here?
Yes, go on.
Can I? So, while there is no guarantee that any single conversation can change the trajectory of your life, career, business, or a relationship, any single conversation can. What is the conversation that has your name on it? Once you embed
Let's,
this into your
let's
DNA,
actually pause and let me repeat that just so
hmm,
everyone heard that. So while there is no guarantee that any single conversation can
change the trajectory of your
change the trajectory of your life,
career,
any single
business, or a
conversation,
relationship.
okay, any single
Try,
conversation can do that.
yes, exactly.
Got it.
What is the
Um,
conversation that has your name on it? Which means you never know which conversation can change the trajectory of your life, career, business, or a relationship. Just out of selfish interest, I'm fully present to every conversation because this might be a lottery ticket winning conversation. This could be that conversation that can change the trajectory of my life, career, business, or a relationship. So if I'm fully present, it's already a gift to the other person, right? Because most of the time people are uh, trying to multitask. They are connecting to somebody else in the ether at the expense of connecting to the person right in front of them. So once you are fully present, I'm always thinking, I read a lot, I meet a lot of smart people. Can I also be a present to them? So I'm fully present to their listening. And can I also bring a present to them in terms of an insight, in terms of a connection, in terms of something? So two presents. And this is what I was very proud of myself until I met a friend called Mark Fujiwara. So he's a half Japanese, half Chinese. And he told me, he observed that I'm fully present, I'm trying to bring a present. He said, you're doing good, but that's not good enough. I said, what do you mean? My self-esteem was hurt. He said, I'm doing this for 10 plus years. So what else could I do? And then he told me, showed me a tattoo on his arm. And I said, can you see this? I said, yeah, I saw it, but I don't know what it is. I can't read Japanese. But it means Ichigo Ichi, he said. Ichigo Ichi means in Japanese, in the old school Japanese, they have a saying called Ichigo Ichi, which means give the reverence to this moment because it's a once in a lifetime moment. It will never happen. Like this particular moment, at this time I'm meeting with all of you. It's very special because it can never come back ever. Even if we all meet together next evening or tomorrow morning, it will never be this moment. So when you are present to such a level that you are bringing reverence and respect as if it's a once in a lifetime moment, you be present at a very high fidelity level. You are very, 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 very present. And that's what I'm incorporating now.
I really hope anyone listening is also incorporating that. Since we have maybe 5 more minutes, I'm going to touch on the final topic, which is For those listening who don't know, Rajesh was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease about 8 years ago. No one who talks to him will even suspect this because he shows no sign of weakness or sadness that's caused by the disease. So, Rajesh, do you remember the day you got the diagnosis, or was it something you were expecting on that day?
First of all, I think I got diagnosed with Parkinson's, not Parkinson's, because it gives a lot of sparks for me. So that's how I tell people I'm a Parkinson's companion, not a Parkinson's companion. So it's all about reframing. See, once you can reframe anything you want, right? So once you reframe it, you start seeing possibilities rather than problems. So when I got diagnosed, it was very funny because every time I yawn, I would something here would tickle, and I was more amused than anything. How can I yawn? Where is the connection? And then I used to go to my doctor, and they said, yawning and this tickling, very interesting. So let's give some muscle relaxer or something. But actually, even the very first time he said, oh, it can happen through Parkinson's, but you are only 43 years old. That cannot be the case. So you use this muscle relaxer. And then I used to do it, and it would go away and it would come back strong again, as if it was like competing with me. And finally, they said, this is happening more and more. You should go and see the neurologist. And I went there, and he looked at me and he said, you are too young to have a Parkinson's. You should go to Stanford. And Stanford people spent the whole day and they could not believe it. And they said, I'm really sorry, but you have Parkinson's. I said, oh, you mean Parkinson's, right? They said, no, Parkinson's. No, it's Parkinson's. I'm convinced. That's how I dealt with it.
Come on. So you're saying you called it Parkinson's from the beginning?
Because what else can I do? If I say I have Parkinson's, I have to go back with a very bad mood. And I'm very big on mood management because moods are created by me. Moods don't create me.
So it was something that I guess you were not expecting it still, but
it's an unwelcome guest, but now he has become a friend.
I know that well.
He's trying to be with me for a long time, but he has no clue that I'll be not very happy with it.
Right. I know once I called it the Parkinson's disease, and you corrected me and said, no, you should call it the companion. It's not a disease.
Yeah. It's just sometimes people come as guests, and when I was growing up, my mom always used to cook more food than what is required. I used to ask her, Mama, why are you cooking more? There are only 4 of us. He said, who knows? Somebody may be hungry and they will walk in. So who will come? They didn't tell me anything. And believe it or not, some people will come. We are hungry, and she would give us the food. So I know the unwelcome guests or surprise guests are used to me. But I never thought this guy will stay with me for so long. But I have to get used to him.
Yeah. So you also mentioned once that because of this new companion, you only get 18 hours in a day, not the 24 hours that most people get. But you don't really
the 6 hours are vegetable hours, Soundarya. So which means I can be. See, sometimes people say, don't do something, just sit there. I don't have that problem. I'll sit there because I can't do anything on that front. So because and the other people have it really hard. You ask them to sit for 6 hours in one place, it look like punishment for them. I'm a pro in that. I can sit there for a long time. So then I thought, if I'm anyway sitting like this, what else can I do? I can either do meditation or I can do deep thinking. I decided to do both. So I have an unfair competitive advantage of doing deep thinking or meditation for 6 hours. See, how can I
6 hours
complain?
every day? Or
every day? See, it's very consistent.
Very consistent. I think I'll just end with asking, since the day I've met you, I've really watched you live life with so much joy. And have you always been this way, or was there a specific moment when you started reframing more of what the things that's happening in your life?
See, first of all, joy is something that is in my control, right? So basically, people say, "This you hurt me." I said, when they use those terms, I always think my manager said something that hurt me. I said, "Wow, these words have so much power." As they came from his mouth, and they start becoming so powerful, and it actually physically hurt them. How is it possible? What is that transformation? I just joke with them. How can anybody hurt you unless you give them permission, isn't it? Nobody can hurt you because you decide how you interpret them. So for me, I said when it came to, because during this Parkinson, the first couple of years was very funny, right? Because I used to, there's a cup there and I want to pick it up. And I say, okay, let me pick up that cup. I need to drink some water. And the hand will say, okay, okay, don't rush me because I got it. I got the message. I'll do it. Just give me some time. I said, man, it's my hand. I need to pick up that cup. But it said, okay, man, you don't have to scream at me. I'll do it. So this thing used to happen. And for once I thought I'm getting irritated. So that's when I said I use something called threshold reset. So as you know, threshold is something that you cross to get to a different state. And for everything in life, there are thresholds. Like for example, for me to be happy, what should be the threshold I decide? For me to be annoyed, what is the threshold? Who decides? Only I will decide. So I decided that I'll keep an extremely low threshold to be happy. So, which means that anybody here smiles at me, I'll be very happy. There's a flower blooming, I'll be very happy. I have a million reasons to be happy. But if somebody wants to annoy me, God save them because they should come and climb Mount Everest and come back and say, let me try to annoy you. It'll be the worst day of their life because I decide when to be annoyed.
Have people annoyed you in the past many years?
They have made an attempt, but I'm also a good actor. I act as if I like annoyed or something because when I was running my first company, some salesperson would come and say, "We lost a deal." I said, "Okay," and then I would just keep going, and the guy would be so confused. So you would say, you should at least show your expression that we lost a deal. I said, "What do I do? Bang on the table and say, why did you lose the deal?" That's what I would do. And then after some time, I said, "Yeah, man, you don't have to pretend, man. It's okay. I get used to it." Because what else can I do? He lost the deal. He learned something and it moves on. Because why invest more time than what is required? Because you can't live in the past, uh, but you can keep bringing back and rerunning the past movie. I'm gone. I'm always in the present.
Well, on that note, I will stop talking now. And I mean, every time I talk to you, it's a highlight of my day, but I want to give other people a chance to ask questions right now. So anyone who's listening, if you would like to ask a question, just raise your hand and we can bring you on the stage on Spotlight and you can ask it yourself. Let me also check the chat box to see if there's something that people mentioned there.
Nobody asks a question, we'll blame on that Tamil movie, the Tamil music you put.
The Tamil music? Why?
It's so soothing. And people will say, "Oh, I'm sleeping," like that.
I see a question from Darshan. Darshan, I noticed you asked a question a few minutes ago. Do you want to ask it? Do you want to unmute yourself and ask it?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Rajesh. First of all,
Namaskaram, Darshan. How are you doing?
Namaskar, Rajesh. Great. I think this has been the most power-packed 30 minutes in a very, very long time. So thank you for all the deep insights.
First of all, I'm always trying to save the person's reputation. When somebody invites me, that's why I'm asking, how am I doing in the tests? Because her reputation is online. My reputation is okay. I don't care much. But she says there's a special guest and I do badly in the test. It will not be good for her.
Fair enough. Rajesh, so everything you said was like gems. I was making notes parallelly while you were talking. One of the questions I had was, you said you remember two things about people. What do they care about and what is their superpower? So I'm just curious that if you meet 700 people, that's 2 new people a day, roughly. How do you get them to talk to you about what they care about? Because when you meet somebody initially, it's not something that they may share easily.
That is true, especially if you ask them direct question like what do they care about? They
Yeah.
start telling, "Oh, my grandmother is really, really important to me," and they start there. And then you don't know what to do because it's like obvious questions. It's like sun rises in the east, sun sets in the west, or kind of thing. What's exciting for you in your life? I ask them. And then those kinds of questions, I'm getting, it's a proxy, but I know how to analyze what they say. But they are just, you have to make it easy for them to talk. Because if they think that I'm assessing things, then they will be very careful because they'll make it like cryptic. So you just be normal, and then I'm always thinking about things. Where are they going? And if they're going somewhere, that means they should be caring about that place where they're going. And then I always think, why are they going there? Sometimes it is because somebody set a goal that is high enough, they made a promise to someone. People are really, really interesting. That's why I've never had a boring day in my life because I'm dealing with people and I ask them some questions and they tell a great stories, better than movies. So, and I always fascinated. How did they reach where they reached here? And along the way, I will already know what do they care about. It's a bigger question, Darshan, would have been, how do I know their strengths? Isn't it? How do I know what is their
Fair.
superpower? So,
Yeah.
shall I ask and answer that
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Is
Please.
it okay?
Yeah.
See,
Please.
it is basically when something gets done. So, if they have the volition, that means they had the power to choose what they were supposed to do. They will always choose something that they are good at. If they're forced to do something, then let's say the boss says you have to do this, then in the language that they're using, they will start telling me, was it drudgery, was it looking like work, or were they in the flow, isn't it? And the second thing that I observe is how people are interacting with them. What do they come to them for help? So sometimes when you are, let's say, for your superpower, sometimes you don't know it. Why? Because it's so easy for you. But somebody else knows it and say, if I go to Darshan, maybe you are a really good negotiator. Whenever they want to negotiate something, they will come to you. But for you, it's a piece of cake. Oh, no, no problem. I'll help. And you will not see it because you become blind to it. Because it's like walk in the park, cakewalk, as they say. But other people say, oh, if there is a negotiation or some agreement that I have to go to Darshan because they know your superpower. So if I observe it, then I know what's your superpower. If they say, how will I know it? Because in your general conversation, you'll say, yeah, when the last evening, like friend Kumar was here and I was helping him with this. So I'm very good. People usually listen with low fidelity. I listen with high fidelity. So people say, read between the lines. I mean, I listen to everything because first of all, I have all, see, when people say slow down to smell the roses. I got that covered because of Parkinson's. I slow down anyway. So I have the competitive advantage others don't have. I'll smell the roses and everything around it. So that's how you get to know their superpowers.
Great, Rajesh. Thanks a lot. That's very insightful.
See,
Thank
the
you.
thing that about the concept, the title of the course is More Time Every Day. The Notion is definitely an amazing tool because the teacher is amazing. Because if the teacher was not amazing, the Notion or any tool is of no use. Because there's a documented research that how much teacher cares about the students will be directly influencing how much the students will grow. So it's not the tool, it's the competence, it's the teacher's caring that my students have to grow well. So my thinking is, if you really want to have more time every day, think about it. You can use the tools and all the organization skills, but you only have 24 hours in a day, isn't it? But in my case, I have only 18 hours in a day. If I think I'm the only resource that will move the needle. But imagine if I have push button access to really valuable help whenever I want, whenever I need it, however I need it, and I use it very judiciously, then I have unlimited capacity. I will have more time every day, isn't it? Because, and how do I get it? It's not easy because you should be the person who should be giving so much capacity along the way to so many people that you build a reservoir of reciprocation that you don't need to use it if you don't need to. But you have all this capacity available to you. They're willing to help, but you use it very, very carefully. And then you have more time every day anyway.
So are you answering Sharanya's question? Because I see Sharanya asked a question related to that.
I can't read. You please read it.
Oh, no, Sharanya has the question. Since our course says more time every day, and since you don many hats, how do you dabble with all these roles and make more time? I feel like you just answered that by having push button access to good help anytime you want.
See, Sharanya, there is another important thing. I was the CEO of my only first company. My hair, I think if I still have a little bit of hair, it's because everything else is gone in that as the CEO, right? So because nothing was available, so most of it is gone. So that's when I decided I'm not a good CEO. I should not play that role, right? So basically, what I did is I'm never the number one person in any company, any project that I do, but I carve out a role where things are have to be in the flow state. I have to be in my zone of genius. I'll make up a title for myself. In Audvisor, my title is Chief Relationship Officer. So what does that mean? I can define what that means because I give the title, or Chief Evangelist, or some random stuff like that. So only I know what it is. As long as I bring enough value to the company, they don't care because I can have title as Obi-Wan Kenobi. They don't care, isn't it? They will say, okay, this Obi-Wan Kenobi will do this, no problem. So I carve out a role specifically for every project that I'm involved in, and everybody will know it. And because they're only expecting that, and with God's help, I can do a lot more because they need it. But sometimes, if it's a new entrepreneur, they don't know they need it. So I don't overwhelm them, but I start helping them in areas beyond what I'm supposed to do, and they just give me so much love and affection. So I just keep gloating. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. It was very insightful.
I see Bharat raising his hand. Bharat, I'm going to add you to the spotlight. You're up.
Yeah.
Namaskaram, Bharat. How are you?
Hi, Rajesh. Namaskaram. How are you? Fine, I'm fine. Great. So, yes, actually, I'm a very bad listener, to be honest. So this is the the kind of a speech that I I was all in without being distracted. Very interesting. Every as
that is why there is recording, Bharat. That's why there is a recording. They're recording it.
No, I mean, so I'm a very I'm very bad at going back to the recording and listening it again. So, but everything you said was it hit me very hard, and it is actually a kind of a book that you were saying everything. And the second thing is that I have in a couple of posts I have which Soundarya tagged you in. I have read the entire thing. To be in such a position, and you're so humble in talking, and so I inspire that a lot, and I admire that a lot. So yes. Now my question is that so I've worked in a startup for the last 2 years as a leadership team there, and I recently quit from there. It was very interesting for the first year, and for the second year, actually, it actually took me my mental health went for a toss, and it was kind of decline stage for me. But my question is that how do you value a startup as a co-founder, or if you want to join a startup as a leadership team or a co-founder, how do you value it as a team player instead of a investor point of view? So is there any advice that you have so that you can value a startup like this? And although I know a couple of people there in that startup, I was very much inspired by the the plan they had, strategy and the vision they had, but it was not working for the long time. So so how do you do you have any advice for that? Maybe I can rephrase my question again it's not very
Yeah,
clear.
I got the question. So I'll tell you I'll give a small story, and then you will see why it is not an easy question to answer unless I know the specifics. There is a friend of mine called Phil Kaplan. So is always doing something. He's a polymath, and I don't know. He must be doing something or the other. He's just amazing. So last time, once when I met him, he was trying to say, I'm inventing a razor because it's not easy to shave the head in the back. I said, what? He said, yeah, because think about it. How will you do it? If you're doing it yourself, it's really difficult. I thought he was joking. And he does crazy things like that. And he has run many companies. So just as a joke, he created a company. And that company would tweet out credit card purchases. I said, Phil, who will do it? Who wants to tweet out their credit card purchases? Just watch. And believe it or not, people started using it and they will be tweeting out, I just got the shampoo there and like all sorts of things. People said, are these people gone nuts? And he said, just watch. And then there are people who are giving term sheets for him to take the money because he will do something. And he, of course, it was always a joke, right? So he said, okay, I don't need the money, but if you really want to give me the money, I need 10 million at 40 million pre-money valuation. What do you think it happened? He got a term sheet. He returned the money anyway. So why I'm saying this is the valuation of the company depends on who is building the company, what they are doing, what is their pedigree. It is rarely just dependent on what the value for that startup is, because the pedigree becomes extremely important. So there is no right or wrong answer because it depends on who you are to the person who is valuing the company. That also depends. But if you have a specific use case, then you can, Soundarya can introduce us both, and then I'm happy to help you look at it in for that particular specific. How do you look at it? Does that help?
Sure. Yeah, definitely, Rajesh. Yeah, definitely.
And you talked about humility. It is not by design. Think about it. There is a professor called Professor Jeffrey Pfeffer. He wrote a book called Knowing, Doing, Gap. In that, he says something that has been my mantra in my life, which is to know your level of incompetence on a topic, you need to be reasonably competent in the same topic. So you don't know how much you don't know until you know a little bit. So if I ever feel proud of myself, I just have to talk to like Vishal is there. He will tell me 25 ways he can do it faster than what I am doing. So my self-esteem is reset. So I will talk to Soundarya and she will tell me 25 ways I am not organized. Again, my self-esteem is reset. So it's easy. I talk to somebody smart and they'll set the self-esteem properly. You can never be proud. You have to be humble, no?
That's again a humble answer.
Thanks, Bharat. And if you want to, as Rajesh said, you can just reach out to me and I can connect you both via email if you want to talk
Sure,
about
sure,
this.
definitely. Thanks a lot, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. As a last question, I am going to bring Vishal on stage. Hey, Vishal.
Namaskaram, Vishal. You are muted.
Oh, namaskaram, Rajesh.
Soundarya has not taught me how to read your mind yet, but then after that, I won't ask you to unmute yourself.
It's always a joy to listen to your wisdom. My question is, you mentioned, and I know this about you, that you have this amazing art of giving undivided attention and being very present in every conversation. My question is, if you're talking to somebody who are very, very wordy, right? They're talking to you, and then in 5 seconds, you know exactly what their question is or what they're trying to ask or what they're trying to tell. But they're going on and on and on and on and on. It's starting to become like, oh my God, you're thinking, when are they going to stop, right? Sometimes it's rude to interrupt them. But sometimes if you really care about that relation, you won't interrupt them. So how do you ever interrupt them?
See, the good news is they're also busy. They have to go for their next meeting, isn't it? Sooner than later, they have to stop because their next meeting is coming up soon. That's one way to look at it. The other way is, see, because people don't realize that There is a proactive way of helping people. So you don't have to wait for them to come and ask you for help, because sometimes they don't know what help they need. So I am always looking ahead for people. So most of the time I am reaching out to them saying that, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done this? Have you done that? Because otherwise it will be commodity. So the only when you can anticipate the need and then help, there is real help. See, first of all, how much help is real help? There is no metric for it. You cannot measure help in tons, quintals, centimeters. So I have simple rule. So there is it's always a gray, like a shade of gray, right? Like how much help is real help? If you truly help someone so good, they will start missing you in their past, which means they will say, where was this person in my life? Why was he not meeting this person? That is the proxy I use. But at the lower level, they will say something like this: this made my day. Anything else is a bonus. So if it is not in that range, I'm just fooling myself that I'm helping. But I have to make them realize that this was so good that this made my day, or it was so good that I miss you in my past. That's how I think about it.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
You're
Thanks so
most
much, Vishal.
welcome.
By the way, Rajesh and Vishal know each other already.
Only
just
for
made it
14
like
years.
we didn't-
Yeah,
Only
just
for
14 years we know
years.
each other.
Right.
But I still can't
okay,
get
last
enough wisdom from him. But I still can't get enough wisdom from him. Every day I learn. Thank you.
That is being very humble. I also learn a lot from every person I meet. I'm always thinking I'm a student of them. First, what can I learn from them? And always, even Vishal, I start taking notes. How do you do it? And I'm always amazed at how he does things. In fact, when I go to their home, I think he'll give me a manual. If you want to open the bathroom door, press this button. And then if you want to do this, you solve this equation. The kitchen door will open. That much of automation is there in their home. So,
wonderful.
was this
Okay,
entertaining or not?
What do you mean? What is entertaining?
See, I always say meeting with me has to be entertaining. They have to bring their own enlightenment. Bring your own enlightenment.
I think it's safe to say
you'll
that from everyone's mouth, this has been very entertaining. And I'll just end with one last question from Karthik in the chat that I see. So Karthik is asking, how would you suggest I increase this energy I have and leverage it to meet more people? I'm sorry, there's actually more context to the question that I don't want to miss. So Karthik, do you want to just come ask it yourself? If not, I can also just read it from here. Okay.
Oh, he's here.
Perfect.
Namaskaram, Karthik.
As I mentioned in the chat, you're always full of energy and life that it gets really infectious when I get to talk to you. And it's just that this is one of the personal questions. So the context is, as I'm a naturally introverted person. I mean, I don't subject my boundaries, but it's just that I've observed that I'm a naturally introverted person. And I've noticed that I have very limited social energy every day. So as much as I love talking to people, like it's a comparative scale. So when I'm talking to people in person, it's comparatively really high. But when I get to talk to people virtually, it's extremely low. So I want to understand how I could increase this energy capacity that I have and leverage it to meet more people, because I do want to meet more people and learn their story. But the thing is, I have a natural affinity to not engage in that conversation as well. So, yeah.
Very good question. I don't know whether you know it or not. I'm also an introvert. It's just that I don't come across that way. And in fact, the whole thing starts with labeling. So first of all, if you say I'm an introvert, and the only other way is to be an extrovert, isn't it? If you're an introvert, extrovert, it's this binary. Life is rarely binary. First, I learned this when Reid Hoffman introduced himself as I'm an introvert up to 6 people. So like that, which means no, I'm an extrovert up to 6 people. So that's what it is. I'm an extrovert up to 6. Which means until it's 6 people, he is very comfortable. The moment it goes above 6, then he gets like, there are more than one conversations happening. He said it's difficult for him. So you see, he didn't say introvert or extrovert. He said, I'm an extrovert up to 6. So now first thing is to determine is that who gave the labels, introvert, extrovert. Somebody would have said he's an introvert and then you believed in it, isn't it? So you can change it yourself. Maybe I'm not an introvert. One day you can change it and then suddenly you will feel very comfortable because your words will create your words. Because you said it, you became an introvert immediately. Like until now, Soundarya has never told me it's difficult to talk to Karthik. You are very comfortable talking to her, isn't it? Because you have the relationship. And if she introduced me to you, you are very comfortable talking to me now. You are building the relationships anyway, as through introductions. I can introduce you to 10 people, all of them you will be very comfortable, isn't it? So you don't have to think that I'm an introvert, so I can't go and mix in the crowds, I can't go to conferences. Why? I have rarely attended any events. In the whole of last few years, I have not attended an event, but I have enough connections because the introductions keep coming. So the method with which you will do an extrovert, somebody is like a social butterfly. For them, it's easy. They go to a party and they will be the talk of the town. But if you are not, you have other ways of doing it, isn't it? Does it help?
Yes, it does. It's very true.
But yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that words create our worlds. I resonate with that so much. And I think if people just pay more attention to the kind of words they're using to talk to themselves, to talk to the people around them, a lot of problems can begin to be solved. Maybe not solved just by being aware.
No, it's important. Thanks, because sometimes, the people don't realize that they don't have to look up the dictionary. They can make up their own word. It can mean in another language. So, Soundarya, we talked about one word called Gemütlichkeit, which is the German word to describe that when you are in a really good mood with all your friends, you feel like the time has been amazing. It's like everything is going right. Gemütlichkeit. So now once you know it, you look for those kinds of things. You start recognizing when such a moment is there. Suppose you don't know that word. It's exactly what the word describes is happening. You don't know how to describe it, isn't it? So the whole world will be high fidelity. It's the language that will describe the word, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I thought this was going to go for 30 minutes, but this went on for 60 minutes, and I'm pretty sure no one's really bored at this point. So thanks so much, Rajesh. I talk to you on a daily basis, and I'm just so happy that my students got to meet you through this. And if anyone wants to reach out to Rajesh, he is very open to conversation, as you probably saw from this. And you can reach out to him at Rajesh. What email do you want to give here?
You can give it, because this might go on record, so you can give it to them privately.
Yes, I'll do it later. Yep. But I've sent them your website already. They can reach out through that or on LinkedIn as well. But thanks so much. I hope you also had fun with us as we asked questions. Thanks a lot.
See, everybody here, I already feel like them. So which means they are like my extended family. I had fun. So it was really, really good to meet with all of you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I'm going to remove you from the spotlight. Feel free to stay back if you want to listen to more of the graduation, but thanks so much.